was February 2, 2009. Christine Ross was walking her dog Ruka on Albuquerque's west side. Everything was as normal as it gets until Ruka found a large bone protruding from the ground. Christine got suspicious. The bone was rather suspicious to ignore, and its shape made it clear that it didn't belong to any small animal. Intrigued, Christine pulled out her phone and took a picture of the bone Ruka had found. She sent it to her sister, a registered nurse, hoping to get some answers. A while later, her sister replied. It was not the answer Christine expected. Her dog, Ruka, had found a human bone. Christine's sister told her that it resembled a human femur, a bone present in the thigh of a human body. Shocked and terrified, Christine called the authorities immediately. Investigators from the Albuquerque Police Department reached the scene and determined that the bone did belong to a human. In the coming weeks, APD officials would keep digging in that area and uncover skeletal remains belonging to 11 women and one unborn child. This is the story of West Mesa murders, one of the most notorious unsolved mysteries of America. It took Albuquerque police weeks to recover all of the bodies, scattered across a 92-acre stretch of desert land owned by a home developer. And it would take nearly a year before every victim was identified. All 11 were women, between the ages of 15 and 32. Most were Hispanic. All but one had vanished between 2001 and 2005, years before their remains were finally uncovered. 10 of the victims were known to be involved in drugs or prostitution, details police emphasized early in the investigation. Among them was 22-year-old Michelle Valdez, who was 4 months pregnant when she was killed. The youngest victim, 15-year-old Jamie Barella, disappeared in 2004 after heading to the park with her cousin. Her mother recalled how Jamie had left in such a hurry that she forgot to turn off her curling iron. Jamie's remains were the last to be identified. Her cousin, 27-year-old Evelyn Salazar, had been identified 2 months earlier. There was one outlier, 15-year-old Selenia Edwards, a runaway from Lawton, Oklahoma, was the only African-American victim and the only one with no direct ties to New Mexico. She too would never make it home. Despite the scale of the crime, the West Mesa murders did not ignite the kind of fear or public alarm one might expect. Media coverage was limited. Dirk Gibson, a professor at the University of New Mexico and author of 2 books on serial killers, explained why. There hasn't been the degree of public fear and alarm that you might expect. There has been very little publicity. This place was very remote, and the combination of remoteness, of both time and geography, meant there was little pressure on police to investigate. The desert had kept its secrets for years, and even once uncovered, the case never received the urgency that might have brought answers. On December 9, 2010, Albuquerque police released 6 photographs showing 7 unidentified women. Women they believe might also be connected to the West Mesa murders. Investigators refused to reveal how or where the photos had been obtained. What was clear, however, was chilling. Some of the women appeared unconscious, and many shared the same physical traits as the original 11 victims. The following day, police released yet another photo. This woman was soon identified by family members, who confirmed she had died of natural causes years earlier. By December 13, police reported that 2 of the women in the photos had been identified as alive. Investigators believe they might hold valuable information if they could be found. Then, in June of 2018, new bones were discovered near the original burial site, but testing revealed they were ancient remains, unrelated to the murders. The desert had given up another secret, but not the one investigators were searching for. Police had classified each victim's cause of death as homicidal violence. That's primarily due to the lack of proper evidence. They weren't able to determine the exact cause of death. What about evidence? What about the murder weapon? The 11 victims' remains and the multi-acre crime scene demanded answers. Investigators tried hard to find them. It's not like the police didn't have any leads. Considering the profile of most victims being related to sex work, police started looking into local suspects related to that line of work. Work is dangerous and cases of violence are quite common in that sector. One of the first people suspected to be the White Mesa bone collector was Fred Reynolds. He was a pimp who knew one of the victims. Police had recovered photos of several missing ass workers from Fred's belongings as well. However, Fred Reynolds died of natural causes in 2009. What seemed like a promising lead didn't go anywhere. The next person we're going to talk about is the center of public discussions and the biggest suspect of White Mesa murders, Lorenzo Montoya. Lorenzo Montoya, a pressman at a local print shop, lived less than 3 miles from the West Mesa burial site. In 2006, dirt trails reportedly led directly from his trailer park to the desert graveyard. This is probably the biggest connection of any suspect to the murder site. It wasn't as if Montoya was harmless. He had a violent history. Twice arrested for attacks on workers, he once threatened to kill his girlfriend and bury her in lime. Co-workers recalled him casually talking about killing women and hiding their bodies on the West Mesa. These were certainly indicators that Montoya was behind these killings. Apart from his statements, his violent nature and tire marks connecting him to the crime scene, police found one major piece of evidence: a video. Warning: what we are about to play might sound disturbing to some viewers. What you just saw and heard was a videotape police took from Lorenzo Montoya's house. In the video, it sounds like Montoya is tearing lengthy segments of duct tape from a roll and opening a garbage bag. It is suspected that Montoya is probably wrapping a body and preparing it for disposal. There is another segment of this video, which we cannot play here due to YouTube's guidelines. In that segment, Montoya can be seen having sex with an unidentified woman before the video fades to black. Many people suspect that the woman seen in the video isn't even alive during the intercourse. After the transition, you get to see this clip where Montoya is using duct tape and possibly a garbage bag. So, what happened to Montoya? Where is he now? Well, the violent tendencies of Lorenzo Montoya didn't stop. In December 2006, Montoya struck again. He lured 19-year-old sex worker Sharika Hill to his trailer, where he strangled her to death. As he tried to load her body into the trunk of his car, Hill's boyfriend, Frederick Williams, confronted him and shot Montoya dead. And just like that, one of the biggest suspects of the West Mesa murders was gone. Police at the time remarked that the murder was too brutal to have been his first, and perhaps most chilling of all. The West Mesa killings appeared to stop after Lorenzo Montoya's death. While many believe Lorenzo was the man behind these killings, police tried other leads too. In August of 2010, police turned their attention to Joplin, Missouri. They searched several properties belonging to local photographer and businessman Ron Irwin in connection with the West Mesa murders. Investigators seized tens of thousands of photographs, noting that Irwin often traveled to Albuquerque to attend the state fair. But after reviewing the evidence, police confirmed that Irwin was cleared as a suspect. Another lead gone cold. In 2014, a breakthrough on an old case led detectives to a new name: Joseph Blake. Known in Albuquerque as the mid-school predator, Blee terrorized young girls in the 1980s, breaking into homes near MC Kinley Middle School and assaulting victims as young as 13. One forgotten rape kit was finally retested in 2010, and DNA evidence tied him directly to an assault. By 2015, suspicions grew dark. Police linked Blee's DNA to the clothing of a murdered sex worker found along Central Avenue, a street long known for drugs and prostitution. Then came another chilling clue. At the West Mesa burial site, investigators found a tree tag from a local nursery, one Blee was known to frequent. A search of his home revealed women's underwear and jewelry that did not belong to his wife or daughter. And according to one cellmate, Blee bragged that he had hired some of the West Mesa victims, calling them trashy. For detectives, the pieces painted a disturbing picture. Was Joseph Blee the West Mesa bone collector, or just another violent predator circling the case? There is another mysterious theory. Some people suspect that someone from APD could be behind the murders too. Albuquerque Police Department doesn't enjoy a good reputation. In 2014, the Department of Justice placed the Albuquerque Police Department under federal monitoring after a civil probe uncovered a disturbing pattern. Officers had used excessive force, including deadly force, in 20 cases between 2009 and 2012. Most of those shootings were ruled unconstitutional. During the Department of Justice's investigation, several sex workers tried to inform them about the wrongdoings of APD. However, they were ignored. The Department of Justice was not interested in hearing their side of the story. People recall that cops in Albuquerque were extremely violent and were no less than a gang. On top of that, both Albuquerque and New Mexico law enforcement faced a wave of scandals. Among the most troubling were accusations that officers themselves assaulted sex workers, the very community most vulnerable to the West Mesa killer. 11 victims, a multi-acre crime scene, and 4 prominent suspects. Fred Reynolds, a pimp with connections to one victim and in possession of several victims' photos. Lorenzo Montoya, a violent misogynist with physical evidence linking him to the crime scene and a chilling video of him doing unspeakable things. Ron Irwin, a photographer with tens of thousands of photos. Joseph Blee, a convicted rapist who is currently serving his sentence, or a member of the Albuquerque Police Department itself. Sadly, none of these leads have led the Albuquerque Police Department to a desirable conclusion. It's also a possibility that the White Mesa bone collection isn't any of these guys. He might have just moved to another state after seeing the news of his bodies getting caught. But there is hope. Albuquerque police was planning to support a new DNA bill that can help solve the crime. Lorenzo Montoya was their prime suspect, but since his death in 2006, APD was unable to confirm if he is responsible for the West Mesa murders. Under current law, they can't do a DNA test until a suspect is booked into jail. Rep. Unira Gurola planned to introduce a bill that would allow police to enter DNA from deceased felony suspects into a national database. If this bill passes, they might be able to test Montoya's DNA and solve one of the biggest mysteries of New Mexico. What do you think? Do you believe Lorenzo was behind the White Mesa murders? Or was it someone else? What are your theories on this case? Let us know in the comments. If you like this video, please drop a like. And to get more such true crime documentaries in your feed, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.